an inclusion specialist, facilitator, consultant. There isn't, an exact definition of what any of those things mean. If you're thinking, an inclusion specialist or inclusion facilitator, that's probably because that's been offered to you at some point by your district. And that, even with those same titles, it can look very different from student to student, IEP to IEP, provider to provider. But as a consultant, I like to think of myself again as someone who is not a permanent part of the team, someone who can come in, do some intensive work with the team, and then gradually back away. One way that I know that I've been successful is when the team doesn't need me anymore. And it's not because the team doesn't you know, want to have me anymore. That's not what I mean. Or they're pushing back from the parent, like, we don't really need this. Like, no, we will know as an IEP team when I'm not needed anymore. And that is when the school is able to successfully assume the responsibilities of modifying general education curriculum for our student. As a consultant too, I like to help providers at the school site bridge this work that we're doing with one student to impact other students and help them kind of grow their lens about like what more inclusive practices can look like in general and how it can meet the needs both of this student we're talking about and other students. And so I think too, like that's something that I'm transparent about in my work. I think often when we're just looking at specific IEP roles, we're thinking like only about that specific student. And while I'm also doing that, I'm thinking about, the school as a whole. When I go into classrooms, I'm looking to see, just in general, like what's instruction like in that classroom? Like what do teachers need to be successful? Is it just the student that we're focusing on who's having trouble accessing, or are there a lot of other students there? And why is that? What part of the instruction is not meeting the needs, sometimes of the majority of kids in the class? And I think that's really important information for the team to have and to talk about, or at least for me to be able to have conversations with the administrators about, because a lot of the times we are saying, our student with their IEP, like they can't be successful in gen ed, they can't learn X, Y, and Z, like they aren't, whatever they're saying that your child can't do. But like that's like the tiniest piece of a story. It's not looking at what is happening in the classroom environment. What is that instruction even like that's happening? Because chances are it's not just about your student. It's like there's a bigger problem happening. And I like to help schools identify that to make it work for more people, more kids.